This sentiment has spread widely, with fans dissecting everything from stage outfits to background lights and photos, hoping to find a clue that Jikook is still real. The weight of time. Why 2025 feels different. For longtime fans, 2025 feels like a turning point. Both Jimin and Jungkook have matured, not just as artists, but as individuals. The dynamic that once played out in front of cameras may have evolved into something private. It's like they've taken their story off the stage. One ARMY forum post says, "What we're seeing now is the version that belongs only to them." Even industry insiders have noticed the shift. One anonymous source told a Korean media outlet that certain members are choosing to limit public interactions with each other to focus on solo branding. Whether that refers to Jimin and Jungkook remains unclear, but fans immediately drew connections. Still, others argue this silence is the calm before the next Jikook storm, a phase of rebuilding and mystery before something monumental happens. The internet reacts, theories, edits, and emotional chaos. With every small update, ARMY reacts in waves. A blurry photo, a lyric that sounds too familiar, a mention of connection in a live stream, and suddenly, Jikook trends worldwide again. TikTok edits under hashtags like hashtag Jikook2025, hashtag StillConnected, and hashtag TheSilenceSpeaks have accumulated millions of views. Some are emotional montages of their past moments with captions like, "Even silence has meaning." Others are theory threads connecting dots only a true ARMY detective could notice. YouTube commentary channels, too, have joined the conversation, creating breakdowns titled Jikook 2025, The Mystery of the Missing Bond. It's not just gossip anymore, it's digital folklore. Behind closed doors, the industry, the image, the distance. In the glamorous yet unrelenting world of K-pop, silence is rarely accidental. Every post, every public appearance, every word spoken on camera is carefully weighed against an idol's image, and when it comes to Jimin and Jungkook, two of the most analyzed figures in BTS, the absence of visible interaction speaks volumes. The pressure of perfection. Since debut, both Jimin and Jungkook have carried immense expectations. They were not only part of BTS, the most successful group in the world, but also symbols of artistry, loyalty, and brotherhood. Their chemistry, both on stage and off, became an emotional anchor for many fans. But as BTS entered its second decade, that very chemistry became a double-edged sword. Every interaction between them turns into a headline, said a former entertainment PR executive in Seoul. At some point, it becomes easier to avoid it altogether. The K-pop industry thrives on mystery and control. Companies shape narratives to protect not just their idols, but also their global brand. After BTS members began exploring solo projects under the same label, managing how those individual identities coexisted became more complex than ever. It's possible, some speculate, that keeping Jimin and Jungkook's connection private was a strategic decision to prevent ship culture from overshadowing their solo artistry. The hidden reality of image control. Fans often forget that behind the smiles, every idol navigates invisible boundaries, especially when the public begins to interpret friendship as romance. Jikook became more than just a friendship to the fandom, explained a veteran K-media columnist. It became an idea, a fantasy people wanted to protect or prove. And ideas, unlike reality, are hard to control. In 2024, when Jungkook's solo success skyrocketed with global chart domination, the media spotlight turned ruthless. Every interaction he had, whether with a dancer, a stylist, or even another idol, became viral overnight. Meanwhile, Jimin's quiet return to music with his emotional EP added to the contrast between their worlds. Suddenly, the Jikook silence wasn't just about absence, it became a calculated necessity. The more fans demanded answers, the more both idols seemed to retreat, as if protecting something sacred behind closed doors. Private, not absent, a new kind of connection. In one of his rare interviews early 2025, Jungkook was asked a seemingly harmless question. "Which member do you talk to the most these days?" He smiled faintly. "We all still check in on each other," he said. Even if people don't see it. That one line, "even if people don't see it," set the fandom ablaze. To some, it was a subtle reassurance. To others, a confirmation that the bond still existed, just away from public eyes. Similarly, Jimin, in his own interview, talked about finding comfort in familiar voices. He didn't name anyone, but ARMY didn't need names. They connected the dots. Fans began theorizing that the duo had intentionally stepped away from public interactions to keep their bond private, a kind of invisible loyalty. "They're not gone," one tweet said, gaining over 200K likes. "They've just learned to protect peace instead of feeding noise." The vanishing glimpses. Before the silence, there were patterns, small, almost imperceptible signs of connection. Shared laughter during live streams. The same bracelets appearing months apart. Glimpses of mutual playlists featuring the same obscure indie songs. But by late 2024, those glimpses faded. No more matching accessories. No overlapping schedules. Even behind-the-scenes photos, once a playground for Jikook moments, vanished from staff posts. "It's as if someone wiped them from each other's frame," said one fan in a viral TikTok theory thread titled "The Jikook Vanish." Others argue it wasn't erasure, it was evolution. That maybe the two simply grew beyond public validation, choosing to nurture a quieter, deeper form of connection. The business side of distance. Industry watchers also point out a less emotional, more pragmatic reason: branding. With Jungkook's massive global partnerships and Jimin's renewed focus on artistry and performance, both idols have distinct creative lanes now. Maintaining distance helps avoid overlap and prevents the fandom from interpreting everything through a Jikook lens. "It's not separation, it's strategy," explained one Korean entertainment analyst. "They're redefining their individual brands without losing their shared history." The irony? The more their teams try to separate them publicly, the more fans crave proof they're still close. Jikook, even in silence, continues to dominate algorithms, their names trending with every new upload, lyric drop, or unexplained Weverse activity. A fandom's eternal question. In an era where social media defines connection, Jimin and Jungkook's silence feels almost rebellious. It challenges what fans think they know, that visibility equals closeness. Maybe what's happening in 2025 isn't the end of Jikook, but the start of a new chapter, one lived off-camera, free from public expectation. Because sometimes the loudest proof of love, friendship, or connection is choosing not to perform it. Between the lines, music, lyrics, and unspoken messages. When words are no longer spoken, they start appearing in melodies. For years, Jimin and Jungkook's music has been more than just songs. It's been their language. A conversation hidden in verses, beats, and pauses that fans have learned to decode. And in 2025, that language feels more cryptic than ever.